broadcast of WDCB's Women in Jazz Spotlight as we celebrate Public Radio Music Day. I'm Leslie Keros, and our featured artist this hour is vocalist Leslie Beukelman, accompanied by pianist Jeremy Kahn. We'll get to the music in just a moment. First, I'd like to mention that we are broadcasting from the studios at Pianoforte Chicago, which is dedicated to helping people love the piano. More information is available at pianofortechicago.com. If it seems rather quiet between tunes today, that's because there's not really a studio audience with us here at Pianoforte. It's mostly just you and me and the artists. Leslie Beukelman studied at Roosevelt University, where she took vocal lessons from Tom Garling and Patricia Barber, and she studied jazz performance with classmates such as bassist Matt Ulery and pianist Rob Clearfield. She is equally comfortable singing standards with a big band and performing adventurous music in a duo or trio setting, and her musical projects extend beyond jazz to other genres as well. This summer, she and Jeremy Kahn released a recording of tunes by Charles Mingus and Leonard Bernstein, and we'll be hearing much of that music this afternoon. Without further ado, here is Leslie Beukelman with Jeremy Kahn, live from Pianoforte on WDCB.
Weird nightmare, you haunt my every dream. Weird nightmare, tell me what's your scheme? Can it be that you're a part of a lonely, broken heart? Weird nightmare, why must you torment me? Weird nightmare, pain and misery in a heart that's loved and lost. Take away this grief you've caused. I can't sleep at night, twist, turn in fright, with the fear that I'll live it all again in my dreams. You're there to haunt me when you say he doesn't want me. I've been hurt, do you know what that means? Weird nightmare, take away this dream you've borne. Weird nightmare, mend a heart that's torn and has paid the price of love 1,000-fold. Bring me a love with a heart of gold. Weird nightmare. Can't sleep at night, twist, turn in fright, with the fear that I'll live it all again in my dreams. You're there to haunt me when you say he doesn't want me. I've been hurt, do you know what that means? Weird nightmare, take away this dream you bore. Weird nightmare, mend a heart that's torn and has paid the price of love 1,000-fold. Bring me a love with a Thank you so much for tuning in. That was a tune called Weird Nightmare. It's the opening track on our album Tonight at Noon. We're going to continue on with another Mingus tune, Eclipse. When the moon meets the sun, eclipse, these bodies become as one. People go around, eyes look up and frown, for it's a sight they seldom see. Some look through smoked glasses, hiding their eyes. Others think it's tragic, sneering a dark meets light. But the sun doesn't care, and the moon has no fear, for destiny's making her choice. Eclipse, when the moon meets the sun. Eclipse, these bodies become as one. Some look through smoked glasses, hiding their eyes. Others think it's tragic, sneering a dark meets light. But the sun doesn't care, and the moon has no fear, for destiny is making her choice. Eclipse, when the moon meets the sun. Eclipse, these bodies become as one. All right, thank you. We're going to continue on with another Mingus tune. Now this one's actually Strollin', but it's Strollin' Honeys. We listed it as Strollin' on the album, but also known as Strollin' Honeys and Nostalgia in Times Square. Here's some more Mingus for you. Strolling, while strolling through the park on a lovely but lonely afternoon, without a single thing on my mind, and suddenly there he was, standing right beside me. I started dreaming, he started scheming things I thought he'd never do. Now he tells me that we're through, I just don't know what to do. I'm all alone and oh so blue. So blue, all alone and so blue. strolling, I'm strolling. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm strolling. I'm moaning, I'm moaning. He left me for another and I'm moaning. He said, honey, I'll never let you go because I love you so. Well, all he wanted was my money. Yeah, it's funny. To think I'd live to see the day he'd shun me. He away and I pray, oh Lord, remove these clouds and make it sunny. Because I got the blues, I just can't lose. I just keep strolling round. He promised that he'd care for me, but all I saw was misery. I'd stay at home each night alone. He ran around, painted the town. Now I've gone and let these blues get me down. That's why I'm strolling round. Come on. Because I got these blues, I just can't lose. That's why I'm strolling round. Yeah, he never took me to a show. That old routine, you know, he had no dough. He'd stay at home long enough to eat, then dress up and go out in the street. Yeah, you wonder why I feel the way I do. Well, that's why I'm so blue. Yeah, these blues that got me strolling and sighing. I'm trying to keep myself from crying. All alone, he won't phone. I'm so miserable, I feel like dying. Because I got these blues, I can't lose. I just keep strolling round. I just keep strolling round. I just keep strolling round.
You've been enjoying the music of Leslie Beukelman with Jeremy Kahn at Pianoforte, Chicago. This is 90.9 FM, WDCB. I'm Leslie Keros, and you're listening to a special live broadcast of the Women in Jazz Spotlight, a feature we air every Wednesday at noon, and today we're happy to bring it for you live as we celebrate Public Radio Music Day. Well, you were listening on the radio, so you couldn't see us dancing around to the wonderful Mingus music we just heard. All three of those selections, Weird Nightmare, Eclipse, and Strolling, come from the recording that Leslie Beukelman and Jeremy Kahn made this past summer, entitled Tonight at Noon. And I paused because there are parentheses around at noon, a little wordplay there, as this is a collection of music by both Charles Mingus and Leonard Bernstein. Well, Leslie, welcome to WDCB, and I have to say, I'm not used to hearing Mingus delivered in such a playful manner.
What is the subject matter not light, or
Right, Weird Nightmare, the great Halloween music.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, the fact that you and Jeremy are able to focus on what each other is doing really allows you to become very playful with it and really tell a story.
Playing duo, as we were mentioning earlier, is a very special a very special ensemble because it is intimate. We can hear each other very well. He feeds me something, and then hopefully I hear it and can play along. And it's a bit of a dance. And this music is pretty heavy. I mean, singing some of these, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of miserable in here. But, you know, within misery, there is growth and maybe some joy coming out of it. So I think naturally I do go to a happy place when I'm singing. So I'm glad that comes across, but also hope to convey the message that is being given here.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the repertoire. Can you tell me, give me the background on how you came to record Mingus and Bernstein on the same album?
I'm going to let Jeremy talk about this because this was his brainchild initially.
Well, okay. Thank you, Leslie. I've been lucky enough to do a lot of gigs at Winter's Jazz Club over the years, and the owner, Scott Stegman, likes to have a theme, which sometimes proves to be slightly annoying for musicians because it means they have to put a little bit more work into the program as opposed to just showing up and playing the tunes that they like to play. So, but I kind of enjoyed taking the challenge and came up with a series that I called Mixed Masters, which, if I think of the composers that I love, a lot of them are Great American Songbook, you know, theater and movies, and a lot of them are jazz masters, people like Ellington, Monk, Mingus, Wayne Shorter. And so a lot of my shows have been a combination of two of those composers, one from column A and one from column B. And, you know, I've done Jerome Kern and Thelonious Monk, you know. So I landed on, I don't know, let's split an evening between Mingus and Bernstein. And both of them write music that's very, very challenging, so it takes a singer with a certain level of musicianship to pull off all these weird notes that you hear on purpose, you know. So that's how it came about. Initially from a gig, and then we did it another couple of times, and then Leslie wanted to record it, and here we are.
And Jeremy, I'm glad you bring up the fact that the music is not necessarily easy to perform. And Leslie, you and I were talking earlier about some of the intervals that you're negotiating in those melodies, and you do it with such finesse. You make it sound easy, but I know it's not.
It is challenging. I think I sing a lot of original music from different composers, obviously, my peers as well as what we're doing today. And you kind of begin to hear somebody's writing style. Obviously, I mean, this is still all over the place, but you start to feel where it's going and kind of anticipate, and doing it many times and obviously practicing, putting many hours of work into this music. It becomes second nature, and now you begin to hear it. That's like, oh, this is the melody, and so it's. I'm glad it's coming across as easy. Sometimes it is, and other days it's not.
and whether it's easy or not, you can definitely hear the joy that you have in performing the music.
Thank you.
Especially Mingus is not a go-to necessarily for vocalists, so I'm really intrigued that you decided to record Mingus, and I think you've got a few more that you were intending to perform for us from Mingus's songbook.
This is true.
How about it?
All right, let's do it.
You're listening to a special Women in Jazz live performance here at Pianoforte Studios on 90.9 FM, WDCB, with Leslie Beukelman and Jeremy Kahn.
We're going to do Duke Ellington's Sound of Love right now? Is that the deal?
That's the deal.
Okay. So Mingus was very much enamored of Duke Ellington's music. He was one of his heroes for sure. So I thought, as an intro to Duke Ellington's Sound of Love, the Mingus composition, Mingus wrote all these lyrics, by the way. I thought I would preface it with an actual piece by Ellington, and ripped from today's headlines. This was actually dedicated. Ellington wrote this for Queen Elizabeth with the idea that no one would ever hear it except the people who recorded it and the Queen herself. It was flirtation at the highest level. And only after Ellington had passed away did the public get to hear the Queen's suite. So I'm going to play a little chunk of that called Single Petal of a Rose, and then into the Mingus tune.
was young and carefree. Not a song had found my soul, lost in blues, jazz, and ragtime. No sound had got to my mood. I was searching for a melody, love blues that gets me wooed. All alone, sad clown with his circus closed down, lost on my merry-go-round, came a melody in my heart, so yearning, taught me to hear music out of love from the soul. For this life we all live infinite, with a lover and beloved as one Ellington sound of love. Sad clown with his circus closed down, lost on my merry-go-round, came a melody in my heart, so yearning, taught me to hear music out of love. For this life we all live, we all love infinite, with a lover and beloved as one Ellington sound of love.
Thank you so much. All right, Jeremy. Jeremy's going to start off this tune as well. He has a little something.
Yeah, right. This is called Portrait, written by Charles Mingus. And as another glommed-on introduction, you will hear probably Mingus's most famous composition. Just played as an intro by me, Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, dedicated to Lester Young.
I've seen all kinds of pictures, most of the beauties of the world. From places I've traveled, I still can recall this quaint melody as I thrill, painting my own pictures in tones. I've painted all Mother Earth, both flowers that brave the morn, tones she's born. I've tried to paint her beauties from radiant skies to deep blue seas. The sky as she changes her glamour, dawn's pale blue, sunset's amber. The winds and the rains, the lull of the plains, leaves on the ground, mountains gray brown, tipped with a dash of glowing white snow. Tried to paint her beauties from radiant skies to deep blue seas. The sky as she changes her glamour, dawn's pale blue, sunset's amber. The winds and the rains, the lull of the plains, leaves on the ground, mountains gray brown, tipped with a dash of glowing white snow.
That one is perfect for our seasons. That was Goodbye Pork Pie Hat into Portrait. We're going to do the B-side of this album now. We're flipping over. When we maybe make a vinyl, you will actually physically have to flip it, but on the CD or digital, you just continue listening. So this is a tune by Leonard Bernstein, lyrics and music by him. Actually, one of the only songs, or the only song, where his lyrics are featured. This is called Big Stuff.
So you cry, what's it about, baby? You ask why the blues had to go and pick you. So you go down to the shore, kid stuff. Don't you know there's honey in store for you? Big stuff. Let's take a ride in my gravy train. The doors open wide, come in from out of the rain. So you stare, call it despair, baby. Don't you care? I'm on the square about you. Let's have a try. It may be that you're the guy. Let's take a ride in my gravy train. The doors open wide, coming from out of the rain. how you stare. We'll call it despair, baby. Don't you care? I'm on the square about you. Let's have a try. It may be that you're the guy.
You've been enjoying the music of Leslie Beukelman with Jeremy Kahn at Pianoforte Chicago. I'm Leslie Keros here with you on 90.9 FM WDCB and a live broadcast of the Women in Jazz Spotlight. Leslie Beukelman is the vocalist here. Jeremy Kahn is the pianist. And I'd like to, as we are listening to that set, we started out with two medleys, as you mentioned, Jeremy. Single Petal of a Rose going into Duke Ellington's Sound of Love, and then Goodbye Pork Pie Hat going into Portrait. Then a right turn, but not really musically. I was rather surprised at how well Big Stuff, I don't want to say stood up, but complimented what we had heard just before. That was a really nice set, and it's not something that I would have thought to put together myself.
Me either. That was Jeremy's brainchild, as we mentioned earlier, and we all love Jeremy Kahn for those grand ideas he has.
Oh, you're too kind.
Big Stuff in particular is one that when I heard your recording of it, I wanted to find out a little bit more about that tune. And as we were talking about today, that's one that Billie Holiday had sung. But also, it's not from one of the better-known works by Leonard Bernstein. So that's another kind of treasure that you've mined for this recording. And Jeremy, I think you and I were talking a little bit about the history of that particular tune, Big Stuff, with Fancy Free, the ballet.
I actually first heard this tune on a Gil Evans record, and the title was new to me, and it said it was written by Bernstein. So I did the nerd dive into doing a little research into it, and yeah, it comes from a ballet, and I think that that Billie Holiday's is the only vocal recording.
I think you're right about that.
Until now.
Until now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't able to trying to learn it. I mean, Billie has her own style of singing, and I was kind of like, okay, well, how am I going to sing this tune? Because it's different. It kind of jumps harmonically into different spaces and the intervals again, which it is. I think it does complement the Mingus music pretty well. So I was looking, and I thought, and that was kind of part of my idea. Is like, well, let's record some of this stuff because I wasn't able to find a ton of vocal recordings.
True confessions here. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
One of the reasons that I chose Mingus and Bernstein to pair them up is that I don't really know enough songs by either of them to sustain an entire evening.
You wanted to build your own repertoire.
So I thought, if I split it between half, that's half of each of them. That's going to work out just fine. But in retrospect, I think they complement each other very well in that Bernstein probably understood jazz harmonies a lot better, and jazz and the blues sensibility better than his contemporaries of the musical theater and the classical world. And Mingus was an extremely well-schooled musician who had a great appreciation for classic forms. As a matter of fact, that record that we were talking about, Pre-Bird, that has Eclipse and Weird Nightmare, has this long piece called Half-Mast Inhibition that's sort of a symphonic tone poem, very well worth checking out.
Well, you mentioned, Jeremy, musical theater, and that reminds me, Leslie, that you had told me about your background or your interest in musical theater. Can you talk with us a little bit about how you came to sing jazz? And how musical theater kind of informs what you like to perform?
I did a lot of theater growing up. There's community theater over there in Sandwich, Illinois. Woohoo, Sandwich. And did theater in high school and musical theater. And I started playing the trumpet in high school or middle school, whatever. And started playing in the jazz band, which got me into kind of the jazz realm of things. And I started singing with a big band in the community. And then when I started at Roosevelt, I did start a musical theater, and I would hear the jazz groups, every week in the lobby. They had this series going on for the students to perform. And I remember specifically hearing Rose Colella sing something, a great friend and obviously like wonderful jazz vocalist, now in LA, but was based in Chicago for some time. And I remember being like, hey, I know that song because I sang that in this show, but listen how she's singing it. It's more, I just really loved her style and just how she could make that song her own. And that prompted me to investigate more of what jazz singing was and is, and ended up changing my major, and here we are. I love arranging too, and so it was a chance to learn how to make these songs more my own as well.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are talking with Leslie Beukelman and Jeremy Kahn here at Pianoforte Studios on 90.9 FM during our Women in Jazz Spotlight. And I'm reminded that although we've been hearing a lot of tunes that you may be unfamiliar with, there are some more familiar tunes on this album as well. And I was wondering if we might be hearing some of those this hour.
We sure can.
All right.
You mean now?
That's our cue, Jeremy. You got it. I used to think it might be fun to be anyone else but me. I thought that it would be a pleasant surprise to wake up as a couple of other guys. But now that I've found you, I've changed my point of view. And now I wouldn't give a dime to be anyone else but me. What a day. Fortune smiled and came my way, bringing love I never thought I'd see. I'm so lucky to be me. What a night. Suddenly you came in sight, looking just the way I hoped you'd be. I'm so lucky to be me. I'm simply thunderstruck at this change in my luck. I knew at once I wanted you, never thought you'd want me to. Well, I'm so proud you chose me from all the crowd. There's no other guy I'd rather be. I'm so lucky to be me. Simply thunderstruck at this change in my luck. I knew at once I wanted you, never thought you'd want me to. I'm so proud you chose me from all the crowd. There's no other guy I'd rather be. I'm so lucky. Yes, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky to be me. Yeah, I am. This is so much fun. Thank you, WDCB and Leslie and Jeremy. This is just such a pleasure to be singing this music.
And thank you to Pianoforte for having us here, because I always know there's going to be a really, really good piano here. So I have no excuse, actually.
We're going to continue in the Bernstein Songbook. That was Lucky to Be Me. And this one is Some Other Time. 24 hours can go so fast. You look around, the day has passed. When you're in love, time is precious stuff. Even a lifetime isn't enough. Where has the time all gone to? Haven't done half the things we want to. Oh well, we'll catch up some other time. This day was just a token. Too many words are still unspoken. Oh well, we'll catch up some other time. Just when the fun is starting, comes the time for parting. But let's just be glad for what we've had and what's to come. There's so much more embracing still to be done, but time is racing. Oh well, we'll catch up some other time. Just when the fun is starting, comes the time for parting. But let's just be glad for what we've had and what's to come. There's so much more embracing still to be done, but time is racing. Oh well, we'll catch up some other time. Some other time. Thank you. That one always makes me emotional. Anyone else? Okay. Don't say anything, Jeremy. His microphone is too far away at that point. So, well, we'll do another one. This is a very familiar tune, I think, with the re-release or the new production of West Side Story that came out. And it was at the Lyric not long ago, and this song is just a lovely piece. So here is Tonight. Tonight, it all began.
saw you when the world went away. Well, tonight, tonight, there's only you tonight. What you are, what you do, what you say. Today, all day, I had a feeling a miracle would happen. I know now I was right. For here you are, and what was just a world is a storm tonight. Tonight, tonight, the world is full of light, with suns and moons all over the place. Tonight, tonight, the world is wide and bright, going mad, shooting sparks into space. Today, the world was just a madness, a place for me to live in, no better than alright. But here you are, and what was just a world is a storm tonight. Tonight.
Vocalist Leslie Beukelman and pianist Jeremy Kahn performing live here at Pianoforte Studios on 90.9 FM WDCB as we celebrate Public Radio Music Day. I'm Leslie Keros, and we've just been hearing music from a recording that Jeremy Kahn and Leslie Beukelman have released earlier this year called Tonight at Noon. And we mentioned earlier the cleverness of the title, and I think you heard it right there. Tonight being, of course, the tune we heard, and Tonight at Noon being one that Mingus wrote. But I loved what you did also with Some Other Time. That one and Lucky to Be Me we know so well from Tony Bennett's work with Bill Evans. And the way you sang Some Other Time in particular, there was a real, not just a wistfulness, but a real belief that there would be some other time. And I think a lot of people associate that tune with kind of a resignation. But you had a real sense of optimism with that tune. That I just wanted to congratulate you. I really like what you did with that.
Thank you. I think in general I try to be an optimist, so perhaps that's coming through. Not all the time, but you know, we got to be happy. Got to make it every day count, right?
Well, you've gotten involved in a number of musical projects, and I know you've worked with big bands fronting them. You've also worked with in smaller groups as well. I think Rob Clearfield is someone you've worked with in a band too. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you've done and are looking forward to?
Sure. Rob and I started out as a duo at Roosevelt, and from there we had a band called Information Superhighway that music all over the place. Music all over the place. Some wordless singing, and also began to get into lyrics. It started off as I was just an instrument in the ensemble as a quartet, and started using vocal effects, and that kind of springboarded me into that genre of being the voice as an instrument with just melodies and playing with effects and having my electronic wonderland. Really fun. Did some atonal music, some just free improvising, and now I'm kind of coming back to my songwriting, which is great. I feel I think, artists in general, you come out of, if you go to school, you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do all this technical stuff. And I still love doing very technical music, but kind of getting back to my roots of being a songwriter and feel like I might have something to say at this time in my life, being more of a grown-up, I guess, kind of. I don't know. That's the jury's out. But I do write music with a group called the Oh Yeahs.
Tell us who's in that group.
Of course. Sarah Marie Young, who is also one kind of like me that does a lot of different kinds of music, and but I know she's a dear friend and beautiful musician and vocalist and human. So it's Sarah Marie Young. She plays ukulele and some cajon and sings and writes. We all write for the ensemble. And Allison Arobia, just a dear friend from Roosevelt days as well. Sarah was actually at Columbia down the street, but we decided we'd still work with her.
Yeah. You would overlook that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. None of us do. But Allison is a great friend, and we sang in vocal jazz at Roosevelt together and have known each other for such a long time. We're roommates. The three of us are great friends, know each other in our own way, and then have this unit. And we all write music for this group. Allison holds it down with the guitar in the middle. I play some electric. I play my trumpet. I play some shaker. I play the melodica. It's like whatever we need to fill the space, that's what Bukes does. So it's really fun. We love singing in unison. It's such a special sound. And then we also love to complicate some harmonies and just bring our songs to life together. It was kind of an opportunity to get better at other instruments, as well as having a band with people who we love and just to kind of support each other. And it just turned into this. We're making a new record come January. Very excited. We're going to have some special guests. And it's a wonderful group. I encourage you to check it out. It's the Oh Yeahs, like the Kool-Aid guy, OHYEAHS. You can find us online.
And you've also worked with big bands as well, too. Can you tell us a little bit about that work?
Sure. I mentioned earlier that I started playing trumpet in the big band and was playing fourth trumpet in the Yorkville American Legion big band back in the day when I was 15, had to get driven to my first gig. And then one of the guys said, hey, she sings too. So I started singing Over the Rainbow, and then that was just, to sing in front of an 18-piece big band there's nothing like it. And
well, you also have to have quite a voice to be able to project above the 18 pieces.
You mean you have to? Yes, it's fun. I do enjoy it. I love to open up the sound, and you can find these moments to sing really quiet, and then the horns come crashing in. And so I do sing once a month with Bill O'Connell's Chicago Skyliners at Fitzgerald's. We do a Sunday a month there, and they have big bands there every Sunday, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing they're doing there. So we'll be there actually on October 30th, so come out.
Well, that reminds me, if people want to see where you're performing, what is the best way to find out?
My website is usually up to date. My personal assistant, who is me, usually gets it together.
Up, right?
Yeah, sometimes I don't, but that is a great place to see what's going on. It's just my name, LeslieBeukelman.com. If you want to know how to spell it, just do your best, and it'll probably come up. There aren't many of me, many Leslie Beukelmans in the house.
Well, I'd like to thank you and Jeremy so much for performing for us this hour as our live Women in Jazz Spotlight, and I'd love to hear a little more music to take us out.
All right, I think we can manage. Jeremy, you cool with that?
Sure. What do we got?
I think we'll do the closing number on our Tonight at Noon record.
You're listening to 90.9 FM WDCB live from Pianoforte Studios in Chicago.
Thanks again for tuning in. There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us, peace and quiet and open air, wait for us somewhere. There's a time for us, someday a time for us, time together with time to spare, time
and time to care. Someday, somewhere, we'll find a new way of living. We'll find a way of forgiving somewhere. There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, somewhere. Someday, somewhere, we'll find a new way of living. We'll find a way of forgiving somewhere. There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, somewhere.
You've been enjoying a performance by Leslie Beukelman and Jeremy Kahn here on 90.9 FM WDCB. This afternoon's broadcast was presented in partnership with Pianoforte Chicago, serving Chicagoland and helping people love the piano for more than 15 years. Information at pianofortechicago.com. Thanks to Thomas Zoles, Rachel Fraser, and the entire crew at Pianoforte for their help with this broadcast. Thanks also to Clarice Kavuris, Dan Bindert, and Al Carter-Bay for production assistance. And thanks again, of course, to Leslie Beukelman and Jeremy Kahn for performing for us this afternoon. I'm Leslie Keros. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned for an afternoon of DCB Jazz with Al Carter-Bay and Bruce Oscar coming up next here on 90.9 FM WDCB.